You're in the midst of learning how to express yourself with greater subtlety in French. That is to say, by taking a verb and preceding it by a modal of some kind. Another verb which slightly modifies the sense of the idea when you're using this second verb. For example, rather than just saying I work, you say I can work, I could work, I should work, I must work. Or this is not a modal, but it's handled in the same group. I'm going to work in the near future, etc. These are extremely important terms that you're in the midst of learning. And let's just try and review them really quickly right now as we think about things we might say, let's say, things we might say to our dog. I suppose you could say them to your cat too, but I'm not sure to what extent cats really listen to us. They kind of do what they want to do. Nonetheless, example of our dog. Here's our dog who listens, hangs on every word that I say. Now, I don't really speak to her too often in French or in Spanish, but let's just assume I wanted to speak in French to my dog and give her some instructions, and you're going to do the same. How would you communicate options to your dog as, well, let's see, you could come with me to the store, or you could stay here. Now, I don't give too many options to my dog. She doesn't handle options well. It's either all on or all off. But nonetheless, let's just assume that we want to try and communicate that idea. You could come or you could stay. Well, first of all, what's the expression with what's the gesture with your hands that corresponds to that idea? Yeah, it's tu pourrais, and you could go along with a whole bunch of other options, but you're probably overwhelming your dog at that point. So how would you say you could come or you could stay? Yeah, you'd say, oh, tu pourrais venir ou tu pourrais rester ici à la maison. Notice how with the second verb that followed pourrait, the next verb was in the infinitive form, the original form. That means I didn't shorten it at all. I said, tu pourrais venir ou tu pourrais rester. I didn't make it reste, it's rester. Okay, bear that in mind. It's when you have two consecutive verbs in French with nothing separating them. The second of the two is going to be in the original infinitive form. Okay, now here's something a little more realistic. If I want to try and say to her, you should not bark. Okay? You should not bark. How would you get across that idea? First of all, what's the gesture with your hands? Right. Tu devrais. Make it negative. Tu ne devrais pas. And the verb to bark is aboyer. Aboyer. So you would say the whole thing now. Remember, aboyer is to bark. How would you say that? Tu ne devrais pas aboyer. Huh? Good luck. Good luck if somebody comes to the door keeping her from barking. Third kind of expression you might want to say. What if you want to tell your dog, and she hates to hear this more than anything else, you must stay here. I just showed you. What's the gesture? Yeah, it's tu dois. Tu dois. How would you say you have to stay in the house? Yeah, tu dois rester dans la maison, which she does not like to hear that at all. Very good. Okay, now fourthly, this is her greatest joy. If I just say the word chicken, she goes wild because she knows it means I'm going to go outside and feed the chickens or gather the chickens' eggs. It means she gets to go outside too. And so if I want to communicate, I'm going to feed the chickens. I'm going to go outside and feed the chickens. I don't expect you to say that statement, but what's a gesture you would use to communicate something you have the intention of doing and you're going to do it in the future? What's that gesture? In fact, what's the expression that you say when you do that gesture? Yes, you're committing yourself. Je vais. In the near future, I'm going to carry out this project. Je vais, and it would be je vais donner à manger aux poules. Les poules. Je vais donner à manger aux poules. Fifthly, if you wanted to boast to me about how fast your cat or your dog or your turtle is, I don't try and tell me about your turtle, but how fast your dog or your cat is, how would you say, boy, she can run fast or he can run fast? He has that ability. What's the gesture you'd use as you're boasting and bragging? And how would you say, he can run fast? Fast is rapidement, rapidement, or vite. Yeah, you'd say il ou elle peut courir rapidement ou très vite. Il peut courir rapidement. Elle peut courir rapidement. And last of all, number 6, this is what the dog wants to hear more than anything else, is it's okay. You may come with me. I just showed you the gesture. It's okay, no problem. You may come. How would you get that idea across? It's okay, you may come. Yeah, tu peux venir. Tu peux venir, ça va. Well, as you're reviewing in lesson 2.24, because today you're going to go back to lesson 23, and you're going to review all of these different modals. There's a very lengthy list of statements that you're going to be forming using these terms. You'll also find that as you get into lesson 2.24, which is the first of a new series of lessons dealing with reading. This is the second series of lessons we've had dealing with how to read in French, and specifically, you're going to begin reading aloud as you perform these lessons. Well, you'll find in lessons 2.24 and the ones that follow that deal with reading, there'll be a lot of emphasis upon these same expressions. Tu devrais, tu pourrais, tu peux, tu peux aussi comme ça, ou bien tu vas, etc. You're going to find there's a lot in lessons 2.24 as you practice reading, and specifically as you practice reading either the Bible or the Richardson story, or maybe both types of reading selections. You'll find lots and lots of uses of these modals and the expression to be going to. So, very important, as you get into these lessons and you start practicing the reading aloud as well as practicing the use of these expressions I'm talking about, remember there's one more important element you must not separate from the skill of reading, and that is pronunciation. You need to not just read aloud, but read aloud while maintaining good pronunciation in French. Remember the points that were made to you, that have been made on more than one occasion in the past, about maintaining the purity of vowel sounds in particular. Not making a diphthong where there's a single vowel sound. For example, not saying a when you should say I. And not elongating the vowel a, which almost invariably leads you to change the shape of your mouth, but cutting the vowel sound short. So maintain that focus as well as you're learning to read aloud, as you're practicing the use of these modals. Remember also the importance of good communication. And if you have a classroom teacher, he or she needs to really insist upon good pronunciation as you begin reading aloud. Okay, you may move now to the instructions for day number 114, and I'll see you soon.